Bilal, Bilal Ballout. I'm the Co-CEO of BMB. It's a company that started 13 years ago, and we started as a startup. We took a loan from a bank, and today, 13 years later, we are one of the leading confectionery businesses in the region, and we've just ventured into healthy food. So this is a new segment we're getting into. So we're in the foods business, and me and my partner run the day-to-day of the business. Over here, we don't use the word corporate governance. To us, it's just habits. It's how me and my partner, let's say from top management, how we act and the processes we put in place, that everyone comes into the company implementing these, and they don't even know what, they don't even realize that we have corporate governance structures in place. In some way, it's also a professional environment. When people come here, it's the difference between saying we're a family business and saying we're a family culture. So what we've done here, and I think what a lot of companies want to do, is implement a family culture where people feel like, oh, we're all, we're a huddled group together, but at the same time, we have the principles of a professional multinational. And achieving that is, to us, what corporate governance is. BMB has been growing at a fast pace, okay? And I have to say, had we not put these in earlier on, we didn't start like this. We didn't have, we didn't start saying, okay, we're going to put all these principles in place. And we started, as with any old school thought, very, very casual way of setting up. And 2-3 years into the business, we started putting a lot of procedures, because we started thinking, look, we want to be the new age company. We want to be a company that's run under professional terms. One day we have high hopes for the business. And I have to say, had we not put these policies and procedures back then, there is no way we could have grown this fast. I'll give you an example. Competition for us. Today we have competition that is 100 and 200 years old, and all these companies. I mean, they were my great grandfather's era. They were very popular, and if I told you, let's start a business together that's going to compete with these, it would have been, you'd have laughed. And today we have overtaken them, and the reason is because the way we move, the speed we move in, is unparalleled, and that really comes back down to, if we were to crack it and say why are we moving this fast and doing right decisions, it's mainly because we put what you call corporate governance and we just call good habits. We've put these in place, and it's really it's paid off well. Over the years, these principles and procedures I'm talking about, we've been, changing them, correcting them, improving them. There is no, people have this intuition that, thoughts that when you want to implement corporate governance, it's very challenging, it's a lot of bureaucracy, and it's not. It's sitting down with the top management and saying, you know what rules work for us now that can speed up our business but help us make better decisions? And as simple things as, okay, what's everyone's job role? Not to keep it very transparent. Or what does everyone get? What's everyone's vision? So it's a few layers that we keep trying to perfect, and even 13 years later, we're very far from perfecting these, but we're improving them step by step. And how it helped me steer the business? Very simply, today the decisions between me and my partner do not have to come from a textbook. We already have, everyone here in the company has these layers in their mind, so it's become such a habit that it's nearly effortless to make these decisions. So, when we first started discussing with private equity, I think the advantage we had is that we had these principles and processes in place, these layers. So the conversations were much easier, because if they had talked to us 3 years after we started, they would have had to go through a jungle of information about how things work and who does what. And when we had these conversations, they were much more interested because they realized, this is a company that have actually invested a lot into putting the right structure, so they could add much more value in the future rather than just spend their time building the structure. And as an example, our future is one where we might look at listing the business, we might look at doing strategic partnerships. The beauty in that is, we are going to work on top of the structure we put in place with private equity rather than having to start from scratch. Ask yourself, simple questions like, who does what? And, who's responsible for what? And who gets what? The simple, it's that simple. There are a few questions that you need to ask yourselves at the beginning, and then repeat these questions to yourself every few months until you come down with, the processes and the job descriptions and the ownership structure that then you document. I think very few people put time. You see, that's another thing. You need to sit down and give it, it doesn't take that much time. It really takes an hour every month, but a solid hour where you really put that effort in. I would also focus on the decision-making process. That's one of the I would say that's one of the most sensitive things in companies as they grow, because the flow of who makes the decisions isn't very clear, and it could really make or break a company. So having that clear flow written out, it does wonders for the company. I would say that a lot of entrepreneurs have the intuition already on what they should do, right? So there's a lot of stuff, it's like, you already know it and you just need to say it. But there's always stuff that you don't know. You just don't know what you don't know, right? So the best is to speak to people who've done it. But if you can't reach them, then at least there's a lot of private equity investors, VC investors. Speak to them, because they're seasoned, they've spoken to a lot of entrepreneurs, they will tell you what they look for. And work backwards. So get from them what works for you, and then work backwards on it and implement it. Applying corporate governance in your business is not something that you should think about in the sense of, should I do it or should I not, or is it a lot of effort, or will it make my business slower? Ask yourself a question. Do you want a sustainable business? Do you want a business that will last the challenge of time? And if yes, then it's a must. It's like all the good habits you put into the company. So my advice is the same amount of time you put into deciding where your investments are going to go and who you're going to hire, and it takes just as much effort to put in the right processes, and believe me, it'll pay off.